Hi, everyone. I think I'm live. If not, let me know. Of course, if I'm not live. You can't see me, so you wouldn't know to tell me that I'm not live. Anyway, I was just thinking to take this scrap 1x4 and turn it into a cell phone stand. I just made a cell phone stand last night out of a 2x4, so I thought, why not try out of a 1x4? So let's see what we can do. Also, I made this one with lots of power tools. I'm going to try to do this with hand tools because my wife is sleeping, so I'm going to try to let her sleep. So see how quietly I can do this, if I can do it at all. So here we go. Oh, there we go. DIY Woodmaster. Hello, dear. How am I? I am doing all right. How about you? Um, the like is done. Hey, thank you. Appreciate that. Very nice. Awesome. Thanks. So I'm just going to throw this into my Moxon vise. I can open this up the right way. And actually, let me just mark this out a little bit. So I've got on this 1x4, I just salvaged this from like a shipping container. So, it's got an edge there that's not to the corner. So I'm just going to remove that. But before I do, let me figure out how far down I want to go. So let's do the combination square here. Actually, you know what? I think I'll go about the. So I want that to be pretty much squared. So if I take it down to there, that should be just about big enough. Unless I want to avoid those marks. So let me do that. Just doing rough estimates on how far down I'm going to need to cut. I think I'll just use this portion of the board. That's in there pretty solid. All right, so just got out the Japanese pull saw. This has you cut on either side, and this side is for ripping, and this side is for cross cutting. So we've got a lot more teeth per square inch, per inch on this side. A lot fewer over here. So I'm going to use the ripping side here, and we'll see if I can even get this started. That's pretty loud, even with just being hand tools. I'll try to be quiet as I can be. All right, so I got it started, but oh, you know what? I'm doing got it on the crosscut side. You know, that's a lot louder than I want it to be. Wouldn't be surprised if my wife can hear that upstairs. Yeah, that is quite a bit louder than I wanted it to be. You know, got any hand saws that would be any quieter than that? I don't think I do. Hey, Keith. Two dudes. Good to see you, man. I'm trying to be quiet, and this is just not very quiet. So I'm worried that it's going to wake up my wife. I mean, at that rate, I might as well just be using the bandsaw. I think the bandsaws might be quieter than that, actually, especially if I'm not using the vacuum on it. And the cut would take a lot less time. What do you guys think? Should I just use the bandsaw? It'd be a lot quieter. I mean, and a lot faster. I think it would be quieter. And here's how much progress I have so far with this saw. You know, it's cutting pretty well, but it's just slow and loud. I was thinking to do the hand tools so as to make it quiet so that my wife could still sleep, but doesn't seem to be very quiet. Yeah, I think I'm gonna abandon the hand tools for the moment and just go to the bandsaw, at least for these main cuts here. So let me move stuff out of the way so I can get to the bandsaw. There it is. And I'll just skip the dust collection, so it'll be quieter. I'm not going to be cutting very much here, so hopefully the dust collection won't matter that much. But hey, Dad's Workshop, Calvin. Hey, everybody. Check out Calvin in the chat here. So I was doing some hand tools, Calvin, but it's just not that quiet. So much louder than I was expecting. I think the bandsaw might actually be quieter and a lot quicker. So if you want to check out my hand tool usage, just rewind the feed a little bit. And let's see, that is right about where I want to cut. So I'm just going to clamp down my fence. And Calvin, you may be pleased to learn, and everybody else, Keith and everyone else in the chat, you may be pleased to learn that my wife is actually home. So she is back from her kidney transplant, which is why I'm trying to be quiet. So I'll give you a view down there. Let's see how good that view is. All right. Plug it into some power. And some eye protection. Hey, John. Thanks for joining us, man. Yeah. Are you humming because of the how loud it is? My representation of how loud it is? Oh, wow. Got some sawdust in my eyes or something there. All right. There we go. And I think I need to, I think this is a little bit in the path. Move that over a little. All right. Let's try this out. Okay. That's actually a little thicker than what I'd already started cutting. I'm going to move this over a tad bit. We'll do another pass. That should be fine. And the rib cuts can be a little wonky. By handsaw, you mean? Don't give up on building those chops up. Yeah, it's not so much about the chops, it's more about the quiet, because my wife is trying to sleep upstairs, so I'm trying to be respectful of that. And so I thought it would be better to do it by using hand tools, but then the saw was just so much louder than I was expecting. I think the bandsaw is actually a lot quieter and it cuts so much faster. So if I were to turn on the shop vac and do dust collection with the bandsaw, it would be louder. But I think the bandsaw alone is probably quieter. Going good. Awesome. And hey, Lance, good to see you, man. All right, let's do another pass here. All right, there we go. That should work. And then I'm actually just gonna take some square cuts here. And that should be all I need. Those 3 blocks there, 3 pieces. So yeah, set that off to the side. Here's the sign that I made for my wife upon her return the other night. Did a live on that, so if you want to see how I did it, feel free to check out that live. And all right, so then on this guy, I am going to figure about so let's see, this is in total just about 3 inches. So halfway would be 1.5. So I'm going to mark out 1 3/4. From both sides. All right. And that should give me a 1/2 inch in the middle. Yep, pretty much 1/2 inch. And let's see. Oh, sorry, I'm getting in the path there as I try to read the chat. Let's see. So Dad's Workshop, Calvin says, I don't typically rip the whole board, but it's related to saw quality and just basic things like a rip size and to find precise tool is crude. Yeah. It seemed like it was doing a pretty good job. It just was loud and a bit slow. Let's see, it's rough. It takes time to build confidence. Lion's watching in the rain at the bus stop. Hey, it's been raining here too. And yeah, glad to hear she's home. Yeah, let me show you the rain in our backyard here. Okay. Not raining very hard right now, but there's the dead corn stalks in the back and the garden boxes over there. And the fire pit. So, all right. So it's been raining over here too, but I'm inside, so I'm not in the rain. All right. Let me mark these out. Hey, Honey's Handmade. Good to see you. All right. So this is the side that I cut on the bandsaw. So this is a little bit cleaner side. So I'm going to mark there, flip it around and there. So that gives me a 1/2 inch there. And let's see, 1/2 inch. And that's a little more than I want. And if I go there to there, and let me grab a little ruler. And ruler there, connect my dots. And I'm going to do some cutting. So I'll put my ear and eye protection back on. And bring you back over to the bandsaw. All right. Hey, baby kisses. Good to see you. Laxman, good to see you again. Good. Doing good. Great. Good deal, John. Right on, honey. Sweet. All right. I'm going to take my fence, unclamp the fence, and just kind of move it out of the way. I think I'll actually leave it up here, but just kind of not in my way. So I'm going to cut out these pieces and then cut out my groove there. So basically I want to remove this and this. So I'll have these two as separate pieces, and then this as a separate piece, and then this is getting discarded. So for those of you that like this sort of thing, that's the waste. So here we go. And actually, now that I've finished that cut, I'll bring the fence back in with that and that. And so we clamp it back on. go. And got a push stick now. So hopefully that works well. Okay. So I can discard those and keep these. And bring you back over here. I think I'll give you a different angle. Something like this. You can see my beautiful workbench. And let's see. What have I missed here? My lions. Okay. Nice. Dads, honey, lines of day there or night. Yeah, he's Lions is 7 hours ahead of mountain time, so I think you're in central time, baby kisses, right? So he'd be 6 hours ahead of your time. Weather. Hey, Heather B. Good to see you. Oh yeah, there we go. 3:24 p.m. in the UK. And okay. Rainy afternoon, green and pleasant land. Did you surprise your kids? We did, Heather. We did indeed. It worked out pretty well. It didn't work out quite as well as I'd hoped because my she has some medical supplies that got delivered here that had been getting delivered in Indiana, but they got delivered here on the day of her return, which is where they were supposed to go. But my kids were here when they arrived, when the supplies arrived. So I got home and I was like, "Hey, what are all these supplies doing here?" And they're like, "Oh, they got delivered here." And I was like, "Oh." I had to pretend that I was upset that they delivered them to the wrong place, even though they delivered them to the right place. So that was fun. All right, so now, oops, wrong direction. I'll just glue things together, kind of like that, except I forgot I'm going to need to take something off there so that it could fit in the groove. Or, let's see. Maybe I can put something thinner over the top. It's not so thick. Let me think, what could I put on top? Something thin. Or I could just resaw that. Actually, you know what? That's not a terrible idea. Just resaw this guy so that he's much thinner. I think I will do that. Means I get to reuse my push stick here. All right, and I'll use this piece instead of this piece because I don't want to deal with that knot. So here we go. Isn't this exciting? Making decisions on the fly. Back to our bandsaw. And all right. Let's see how thin do we want it. Let's do that. I'll just do a couple of really thin slices like that. Could be fun. Lock in my fence. And I'm going to lower my guide down a little bit so that I get a little bit better control, maybe. See? Let's see. Okay. I had to act. Yeah, I did. I did act. Hey, Billy. Thanks for being here, man. Let's see. Baby kisses your blonde. Okay. Yeah, I had to act, and it worked out okay. They were still pretty surprised. I made up this story about to go to my mom's when going to the airport to pick her up. I came home and I pretended like my wife was on the telephone. Let me so you can kind of see my face here as I tell a mostly uninteresting story. But yeah, so when my wife texted to say that they'd arrived at the airport, I went in and told my daughter that I needed to go to my mom's for something, and so I took off, brought my wife back, left the luggage in the vehicle, went upstairs, and pretended that I had my wife on the phone, that we needed to say family prayer together, and so gathered my girls into one of their bedrooms, and I actually had the phone recording video, and so I was like, "Hey, sweetheart, are you there? Hello, can you hear me?" And then that was her cue to come upstairs and surprise them. So she walked in and she's like, "Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear." And so one of my daughters jumped up off the bed and ran over and gave her a big hug. The other daughter was actually in the corner of the room because there was a bug that she wanted to kill. So she had her shoe ready to strike the bug, but she didn't want to actually strike it because then she could have bug guts on the bottom of her shoe. So she was just kind of paralyzed over there, wanting to kill this bug, but not wanting bug guts on her shoe. And so she didn't even get up and give her mom a hug or anything. So it was kind of funny. But anyway, but they were surprised for sure. So in spite of the earlier snafu with the medical supplies getting delivered while they were home. So anyway, all right, let me see if all right, 47 degrees, Billy. Okay. I had got the house down to 68. Don't actively post, but you're going to, right, Heather? You're going to actively post? All right. Supposed to get up to 87. Okay. Trying to pull that link. I'm struggling here. Panic attack. Had it well planned out. Best welcome, a true kid. Yeah, we tried. All right. And blessing to have her home. Absolutely. We are feeling happy that she's finally home. So, all right, let me make the cuts here. Hopefully I can keep that pretty close to the fence. All right. That seemed to work okay. So let me adjust my fence a little bit closer. And try to get the same width again. So that's actually pretty close. I am so impressed with myself. Oh, and then I probably bumped it out of place. All right. And I'm actually going to cut from this side, so that way I've got that side to work with on my finished piece, because I'm lazy. All right. There we go. Yeah, not too terrible. I'll take it. All right. And let's see. Yeah, it's a blessing to have her home. She loves being home. I think she likes it. I don't know how much she loves it, but he'll quicker when you're happy inside. Yep. Not at all. Neat fence build. Yeah, it works pretty well. And I just used, scrap plywood for it. Um, I've got a video somewhere about having built this guy. So I don't remember if it was a live video or a long form video or whatever, but it's in the video catalog if you go to the channel. So not that complicated. Just used glue and brad nails, put it all together. So it's just for this Craftsman 12-inch bandsaw from 1978. So there are a bunch of those Craftsmans out there. They can be had for pretty cheap. I got this one for $40 from somebody that was getting rid of it. It didn't have a blade or a little table insert, and so I had to buy those. But otherwise, it came quite cheap. All right. So now, if I glue those there and glue this guy back here, and then let's see, I've got a kind of a sample. This is about as thick as my phone. So that 1/2 inch channel should be enough to support it. And then I'll just need to cut off 1/2 inch of that guy. So I got the groove in there. I think I'll cut off right here because it's chipped there. And then I'll just have to remove a little bit more elsewhere. And actually, I could just take off as much as I need here, except then I'm going to still need to cut off. I'm going to have a little bit more waste. So I'm not sure if I want to do that quite yet, but let me I think I will just mark off 1/2 inch on this guy. Actually, I'm going to mark off just under 1/2 inch. And that's not getting very close to my mark. So let me see if I can use a, okay, that gets me closer. All right, so I'll just remove that and then cut it somewhere in the middle. Well, I'll have to cut it right down the middle. So come back over to the bandsaw. You guys are getting a lot of travel between these two. Okay. Pilado, popular video for Pilado. Are you talking about the bandsaw fence video? Check it out. A phone holder. Yep, that's what I'm trying to make here. Baby Kiss is a phone holder. Okay. The bandsaw sled video. Save some time. Yep. Do you mean the bandsaw fence video? Rather, I don't know that I have a bandsaw sled video. All right, so let me adjust my fence again here. And I'm going to cut just about there. Clamp it down again. It'd be nice if I had something that could be self-clamping instead of having to move these clamps every time, but it's fine. All right. Eye and ear protection again. And remember to have a spot for charging the cord. They need space enough not to pinch the cord. Yeah, this design doesn't allow for that. So let's see. Brain is not working. You had a crosscut sled, bandsaw fence. So yeah. So I've got a video on the table saw crosscut sled and the bandsaw fence, and actually the table saw auxiliary fence, and the router table, and the lathe a little bit. And yeah, I've got a few videos out there for anyone who's bored and needing to kill a few hours. All right, let me take this off here. All right. And Then I just want to cut it down the middle. So I'll guesstimate where the middle is. And then mark. And then turn it around and mark. And no, the middle is actually right in the center of those two. So I need to go a little smaller. And that gets me almost perfect. So I'm actually going to just put my line right there, turn it around, there, and there. And then I'll set my fence with that. And try to go right in the middle. That should work. I hope. So clamp that back down. See how much nicer it would be if I had something that would clamp automatically instead of having to remove those and put them back on all the time. All right, here we go. And need a ruler like that. Be perfect. Do much smaller stuff. Yep. Okay. There we go. So pretty much right down the middle. Surprise, surprise. That kind of worked. All right. So now we'll find the glue. And move some stuff out of the way so I don't glue things that aren't supposed to get glued. All right. It'd probably be better if I were to sand this smooth first, but why bother? I'll do a bunch of sanding after the fact. And Okay. All right. Those are both, let's see. Those are actually both a little bit wider. So I need to take off a little bit more on each of these so that they're not constricting. So another trip to the bandsaw. And another adjustment on the clamps. We'll take that off. Okay. Keep my push stick again. All right. Let's see how those do. All right, just about right. I'd say that's good enough. Oh. All right. And let's see. All right. John has a few 6-inch rulers for measuring the small stuff. They come in handy. I've got the 1 6-inch ruler, and I got this guy too. It's also 6 inches. I think I got this guy for free from I think this was from Tay Tools. I think it was a free gift for ordering a certain amount. And then I've got the other 6-inch ruler that I showed earlier. Let's see. Number 2. This. Oh yeah. Everybody, like the stream and everything. Subscribe if you like the channel. And John says, I like having a few, so I don't spend my time looking for things all the time. Yeah. So many ways to interpret that. Yeah. John's got rulers all over. Calvin, you're leaning into your immaturity. Yep, add a dab of glue. Sees your finger, you like peeling off. Yeah, I figure I made this little French cleat holder for my brushes, so I might as well use them, right? So Might as well use the brushes. Keep my fingers unglued. Hey, Plywood, thanks for joining us here. Did you say no pocket knife? Yeah, I've got pocket knife there and there, and here's a utility knife. But they were pretty inexpensive though. Yeah, sticky fingers. Hello to everybody. Tried to get in your live last night. It said private in my live or somebody else's live, Calvin. Gluing magnets on stars. Good morning. Yeah, whose live was private? Huh. Interesting. Let's see. Usually for members or live is over. The plywood live. Oh, okay. I did not see the plywood live. It was over when you clicked on it. Okay. We have a long wait for members. Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna glue these pieces on now. Actually, I want to put the glue on here instead of on here so that I know. And actually, I'll put some here now too. There we go. There, I got some glue on my finger. Baby kisses, that make you happy? All right. And get that down there. Get that down there. And then I just need to put a bunch of weight on it. So do that. And then that. And see, what else do I have that's heavy I can put on there? Here we go. Instead of the battery, we'll do a router. So just let that set for a few minutes. And dispose of the glue spreader thingamabobber. And let me check in on chat. You can check out the sign that I made for the misses. Is that too close? So for those of you that missed it earlier, I made that sign the other night on a live, but I didn't want her to see the live. I didn't want my daughters to see the live, so I unlisted it right after the live was over. And then I wanted to have it displayed when my wife got home, but I also didn't want to leave it up somewhere where the girls could see it and then ruin their surprise. So, so I just took it with me to the airport, and I just put it face down on the passenger side seat. Then when she got in, she picked it up. She's like, at first she was like, "What is that doing there? Right? Why is that a piece of wood on the seat?" And then she lifted it up and saw the welcome home sign. So I think she liked it. It's not the greatest sign ever, but yeah, better than no sign, I guess. Maybe not. Maybe it would have been better not to have a sign. And yay. Plywood. I'm going to pull that wall down. And got 3 more to make. Great. Oh, thanks, Billy. Plywood only on for 4 minutes. It was long enough to get an international following, yeah. And did I do that freehand? Yeah. So I just drew it out by hand, and then I actually used my Bosch 1604 router right over here. It's an old handheld router here, that guy, and it's got the V-bit on it. And so I just used the V-bit in the old 1604. I've been meaning to make a new handle for this other side here, but I need to wait. Well, I don't have to wait for the lathe to be ready to use, but I've been intending to use the lathe for it, but still need to switch out the electrical cord and plug on the lathe, because the cord it has is super old. This thing was built in 1930s. There's the old-timey switch, the on-off switch, and then here's the power cable, and you can see it doesn't have polarity or grounding or anything. So I thought, you know what, it might be good to switch out the plug. Something that maybe is a little safer to use. But I haven't gotten around to that yet. I've got the plug for it, the replacement plug. I just haven't done anything on it yet. Let's see. Perfect. Oh, thanks, baby kisses. The wall is only 3 blocks high. Okay. Great, but it's a closed cord. Okay. All right. Let's take a look at things here. So that's how it looks right now. And I've got the speaker area here going from small to big. So for those of you that weren't on my live last night, I made another one out of just a scrap 2x4 piece. So very similar design, but I did the dado groove there. And I did 2 different sizes of Forstner bits in the middle. And then I put it on my circle cutting jig on the bandsaw and just cut off the edges. And then I used my power sander to smooth everything out, and also to remove a bunch of material back here because I had a chip in the wood, in the piece of scrap that I used, and sanded it all, and then just finished it with shellac and lacquer. So I'm not sure how well this really works. I tested it out a little bit after I finished it last night, and I was like, I don't know, maybe it's amplifying, maybe not. So I was talking to someone about my project last night, and he told me about that he makes something with a similar design to this. So I was like, okay, well, let me see if I can do that. And I was thinking to do it with just hand tools this morning, but my pole saw was louder than the bandsaw. I'm trying to let my wife sleep in. So anyway, all right. Use a rider, pull it down, sit on it, sweet. It doesn't need an angle. Which angle are you talking about, baby kisses? Oh, it's like a call is trying to come through, but I'm guessing that is just a spam call. So not answering. This does have an angle. I don't know if you can tell, but it's basically half an inch right here and a full inch wide here. So it kind of goes out like that. Are you thinking about the dado here having that be at an angle? So it'll lean back. Yeah, so I've got it wide enough that it'll lean a little bit on its own. So like with this, it's almost exactly the same. I mean, it should be pretty much the same because I measured them both out to half an inch. But this is pretty much the width of my phone with the case. And so you can see even with just that half inch of width, it has a lean to it already. So I don't really want to stress the joint here, but probably not providing a lot of stress. So it's got a bit of a lean to it right there. So I didn't want it to have too much of a lean because otherwise it would be too top heavy, and because this isn't particularly heavy, neither is this. So I didn't want it to be so angled that it would tip it over. So that's part of why I made it as narrow a dado as I did. Lean back, yeah, mind you. Okay, yep. So that's kind of the thought process there. So I'm thinking to use my circle cutting jig on this guy too, and take off the edges or the corners. What do you guys think? Should I do the same as I did on this one and take off the round off the corners, or not? Leave it square. You could also just kind of round off the corners when I sand it. That's an option. What do you guys think? Tell me in the chat. We think it'll look better with rounded corners, or rounded using the circle cutting jig, or rounded versus using the hand sander, or not rounded. Let me do a poll. You guys can hey, Mike is making stuff. Good to see you. All right, let me do a poll here. Rounded corners. Yes. Circle cutting jig. Yes. And sanded. No. I like harsh corners. All right, so everyone tell me in the poll whether you want whether you want me to round off the corners using the circle cutting jig, or whether you want me to round off the corners just using hand sanding, or whether you want me to leave the corners because harsh corners are awesome. So here's an example of what I did with the circle cutting jig, and then I used the belt sander afterwards. So it's not purely the circle cutting jig. What I did on this guy. Did a fair amount of shaping with the 60 grit paper on the belt sander. So, and round it off with sanding. Okay. See what the poll is saying. Interesting. Got 5 votes in right now. Everyone get your votes in. If you want your opinion heard, right now hand sanding is winning. If I hand sand them, I'm definitely not going to take off as much as I did with the circle cutting jig. It'll be a much smaller hand sanded rounding. So if you want something more pronounced, then it'll have to be on the bandsaw. If you prefer a more gentle rounding, then the hand sanding might be for you. I'm going to have to sand this guy a fair amount anyway, but yeah. All right, let's see if we've got any additional votes. Ooh, one more vote. Looks like the hand sanding is winning. Like that's where the additional vote went to. Nobody seems to like the harsh corners. Sad. Harsh corners can be a lot of fun, especially if your toe is vulnerable. All right. And I think I'm going to let that poll go another 10 or 20 seconds. And if the results hold, then I will start sanding this guy by hand. See what we can do about rounding them off. Just throw some of the scrap over here out of the way to be used on some other project, some other day. Put that out of the way as well. And all right, I think we are ending the poll. Excellent. Okay. Being rounded off. Like the squarish profile is good, but muting the corners is kind of your style, in your opinion. You know, that's a good point, Mike, that's your style. Do I really want my style to be Mike's style? Let me consider that. Maybe I'll override the poll results. 60. 120. $180. That's probably as fine as I'll go. All right. I'm just going to move the like I need a lot more on the back here. Okay, could still use some more sanding, as could the side and that side, and probably the front. Okay. I still have some marks from the bandsaw. A little bit here, more in here. But I'm not sure how much I care about removing all of those marks. Okay. And then let me see if I can. All right. What do you guys think so far? That are those corners rounded enough for your liking? Checking on that here. Gauge. My favorite screwdriver. It's made with vodka. All right, so switching to 120. And I think the wood glue says not to stress the joint for 24 hours. And this is probably stressing the joints a bit by sanding it, but I'm not that worried about it. And also, I think sanding it before the wood is, or before the glue is completely dried and crusted over kind of helps to use that sawdust to kind of fill in the gaps a little bit. Not filling in as well as I'd hoped. It's still, pretty obvious lines where the glue is, especially on the front face and the back. But that's understandable considering how neither the neither the bottom of this piece nor the top or bottom, well, none of these pieces were particularly flat. Well, I guess these two were pretty flat, but this piece and this piece, the glued surfaces are pretty rough. So you're not getting really fine contact there. So you know what? I should have tried sanding in here a little bit. Not working very well. Let's see if it's easier with the 120. I think I need to tighten it up. And onto the 180. Let me, all right. I think I'm done with the sanding. I'm going to briefly vacuum over here so as not to hopefully wake my wife. And all right. Oh, looks like we've got some chat that wasn't refreshing on my screen. So plywood. Make another one. You can round it over before gluing on the top and bottom. Oh, that's true. And the like is done. Hello, Raja. Thanks for being here. Tim List, thanks for being here. June, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. So now I've got that sanded up to 180 grit, which is enough for my purposes. So I'm going to hit it with some shellac, some spray shellac, because I'm lazy. Spray shellac is easy to use. And just kind of set it like that so it has good airflow on the bottom, and let that dry for a few minutes. And everyone's saying hello to each other in the chat, which is amazing. And let's see, I am in Idaho. It is 9:35 a.m. here. Where are you guys all watching from? Tell me where you're watching from and what time it is. So, like I said, 9:35 a.m. here in Idaho, United States of America, Mountain Time Zone. Where's everyone watching from today? As we wait for this shellac to dry. Thankfully, shellac doesn't take very long, but a few minutes anyway. June, watching from England in the United Kingdom, 16:35 to be 4:35 p.m. for those of us that are not familiar with 24-hour time. And you may be able to tell from my workbench where I typically spray the shellac and lacquer. Not very obvious at all, but you might be able to tell if you're very discerning. John is watching from Canada in Ontario, 11:35, so Eastern time zone, just a couple hours ahead of us. We had a little bit longer to go. A couple, very different design. Well, not that different, but slightly different. This one definitely has more of an angular feel, more blockish, whereas this has the rounded corners and the circular speaker amplification setup. So you can just kind of see the hole goes halfway in there. Whereas this one has the mostly squared and then the rectangular entry point there rather than the round from the Forstner bits. It's pretty close to dry already. So I will hit it with another round of shellac. And let it dry again. I think that's all the shellac I'll use. Move on to a lacquer, which means I'm also going to open up the door to have better ventilation. Looks like the rain might have stopped because the ground is getting some dryness over there. It might have been a little while since the rain. Like I need to do some weed control on my lawn. Always fun. And the green bean plants haven't died quite yet. And then the weeds haven't died in the other garden box. So corn stalks are definitely looking a little bit worse for wear, but on the plus side, at least I didn't really get any corn out of them this year. You did put the hole in for the cord. No, not really for the cord. It's mostly for sound amplification on both of these, because when the phone is testing in there, it's not really going to have any room for plugging in. So, I mean, I could. Well, I don't know how well I could really modify these to work with a cord. I'd probably want a different design altogether. Hey, Matthew. Thanks for joining us, man. And see on our shellac layer. Still a little bit of wetness there. Hasn't dried quite yet. If you can see the shiny reflection from the somewhat wet shellac still. Um, Feeling very impatient about this shellac drying. It's not taking very long, but like, come on, hurry up. So impatient. Anyone have any fun plans for the day? I'm looking forward to watching some football later tonight. My alma mater is going to be playing against the University of West Virginia. So I attended BYU, Brigham Young University. They are undefeated at the moment. I'm hoping they stay that way tonight. Anyone else interested in football, college football in particular? And if so, who is your team? Who do you root for? I'm going to call that close enough. So I'll come over here and hit it with some lacquer. And now I'm going to come over here. And I'll bring the laptop with me so I can read any comments next to the ventilated air here, so as not to be right next to the lacquer. So, all right, so we've got Matthew in the house, and June, and John, and Plywood, Raja, Tim List, Gage. Mike is making stuff, baby kisses. And thank you everyone for being here today. Steve and Billy and Calvin from Dad's Workshop. Heather B, who also hangs out on Dad's Workshop. And everybody else. Thanks for being here today. Appreciate it. And all right, let me see. I'll just bring this guy over here. One of the nice things about having all of your power tools on rolling carts is that you can move everything around however you want. And one of the bad things about having everything on rolling carts is having to roll everything around everywhere. It'd be nice if I had a shop big enough to have dedicated places for everything. But it's also nice to not have to have a big shop to have dedicated places for everything. So 100, 100, 100, heart, heart, says Baby Kisses. Thank you, I think. Unless I'm misinterpreting your message. So just kind of waiting for that lacquer to, for the solvents to dissipate. So it'll be ready for the next coat. And I think I'll just do one more coat of lacquer and call it good. Then after the lacquer dries, I'll just hit it with some steel wool and kind of smooth it off, because it'll have imperfections on the top layer, and the steel wool should smooth it out so that it's much easier to work with. So, all right, let me make my way back over to the workpiece here. Feels like that lacquer's already dry. So hit it again. There we go. And then let it dry. Let it dry, let it dry. Don't hold it back anymore. I got that right, didn't I? And then, so once that lacquer dries, let me find my steel wool over here. Oh, there it is, hiding back behind the welcome home sign. So that's my next step. And again, there's the welcome home sign that I made for the missus when she came home from her kidney transplant. For any of you that missed it earlier. So I'll set up back over here again so that I'm away from the noxious fumes, because I don't really want to put on a mask because I'm lazy. Yeah, definitely. Baby Kisses, you should do that. What is it that you should do, Baby Kisses? Talking about the steel wool or something else? And John says, great sign, which I appreciate. Thank you, John. It turned out all right. The sign, the little house ended up being not as house-like as I was wanting. But I'm not much of an artist. I don't claim to be. So, it's not quite as pretty. But I was showing it to my daughter the other day. Last night I think. I was definitely yesterday, last night, whatever. And she said she liked the doorknob. Like, yeah, I feel like that was kind of a nice touch. But I feel like I really messed up on the angle of the roof. Didn't get it centered quite. I was intending, actually, when I drew it all out, I was going to make it 3-dimensional. But after I made this part, I was like, you know what? I think I'll probably just screw it up if I try to make it 3-dimensional. I'll probably end up looking worse. So overall, I'm mostly pleased with it. I don't know how well it comes across, but it's actually a butterflied piece. So it's got a glue joint right in the middle here. And, so you kind of see it's supposed to be somewhat mirrored, but it's not as obvious with the the welcome taking up a lot of the space there. And I didn't really burn it evenly. And so I think that's another factor that's maybe not making it obvious that it's, a butterflied piece. So it's a little bit more obvious from the back. How it's, somewhat mirrored here, but even then it's not perfect to see. So welcome home. Let's see. Scrubby. John likes it. Brilliant. Oh, thanks, June. And Matthew, really like it. That's a home for us rednecks. I guess I was just making a redneck home and didn't realize it. But yeah, I like to tell people I'm not much of an artist. Like I can even screw up stick people, right? So considering my artistic level, it turned out fine. And freehanding, the router isn't always the easiest, especially when the router only has one handle. So, yeah, it turned out okay. And let me see how we're doing on the lacquer. Feels a little tacky yet. I'll let that dry a little longer. And let's see. So I'm guessing from nobody commenting on college football that I'm the only one interested in the game tonight. Anyone have anything else fun that they're doing tonight? Be interesting to hear. Oh, like it's telling me that my chat was disconnected momentarily. I don't know if that was just me being disconnected from the chat or if everyone is disconnected from the chat, but it's claiming to be successfully reconnected. Baby kisses, you're doing wood something tonight? Is that your plan for something fun and exciting? That could be taken to mean a lot of different things. I'll presume that you mean making something with wood. And the odor has dissipated over here. Baby kisses, you have lots of projects started. Cool. Mostly dry. Few spots of no, I think that's ready for my steel wool. So the steel wool is not very abrasive. And it's basically just kind of smoothing it out. Can't remember what sandpaper grit the steel wool is similar to, but it's a pretty high grit. All right. Let me see if I can get in that groove a little bit. All right. All right, and then I'll just briefly vacuum again. Hopefully it won't take very long. I can be really quiet about it. All right, and done. And let me get out the white shelf. And there we have it. What do you guys think? All right. John is doing wood carving all afternoon. What are you going to carve, John? And Baby Kisses has lots of projects started. John can relate to Baby Kisses. Matthew's going to get a coat of poly on a walking stick, do some carving, sit by a campfire. Sounds like a good plan. And it's a nice, simple project. Yeah, not too terrible. Relatively easy. Let me give you a little bit different angle here. And going to avoid hard work. Nice. Yeah, it's Friday. Baby Kisses claims that it's cute. Thank you. Appreciate it. Have some dough balls to finish. Nice. Looks great. Interesting claim. So I'm going to do something to improve the presentation here. There we go. So that should give you a decent view of what it looks like as a finished product. Not really much of a product, but yeah. I'm not sure how well it'll really work for amplifying sound, but hopefully it's not too terrible. So we'll see how it does. All right, if anyone has any questions, ask them right away. If you have any comments, throw them in the chat. If you have any jokes, share them. If you don't have any of the above, I'm going to be finishing up here pretty quick. So thanks everyone for being here today. Appreciate your participation and your ideas and help. And I think with that, I'm going to call it a day. Well, not really a day, but call it a live. I think think you're all going to have a good day, whether you intend to or not. So get to it. Thanks, everyone. See you.